Today, we're diving into the secret life of buildings. You know, how the structures we pass by every single day can get a radical and, let's be honest, often very profitable second chance.
I mean, you've definitely seen this in your own city, right? An old, tired-looking building goes up behind scaffolding, and then maybe a year later, it's completely reborn. A forgotten warehouse suddenly becomes the trendiest lofts. A struggling shopping mall is now a buzzing medical center.
Well, that kind of transformation, it isn't an accident. It's actually a deliberate, high-stakes strategy that's a perfect mix of finance and creativity. So let's pull back the curtain and see exactly how this whole real estate repositioning thing works. At its heart, repositioning is a solution to a big problem. And that problem is a building that just isn't living up to its potential in the modern world. It really is like a building's second act. And we're not just talking about a fresh coat of paint here. This is a fundamental reimagining of a property's entire place in the market. The goal is pretty straightforward: boost its value, make it more competitive, and crank up its income potential. So what makes a building the perfect candidate for this kind of treatment? Well, typically it's a property that's struggling. Maybe it's underperforming, bringing in way less rent than the buildings next door. Or it could be functionally obsolete, like an office building without the kind of high-speed internet that modern companies absolutely need. But for an investor, these aren't just problems. They're what you call classic value-add opportunities. All right, so how do you actually give a building that second act? It turns out there are four main strategies investors lean on. And they range from a simple facelift all the way to a complete change of identity. So the transformation process really follows four key paths: physical, tenant mix, market, and use. Let's break down what each of these strategies actually looks like in the real world. First up, we've got the one you can see with your own eyes, the physical overhaul. This is all about changing the bones and features of the building itself. We're talking gutting a dated dark lobby and making it bright and modern, or adding a state-of-the-art fitness center. Maybe it's upgrading an ancient HVAC system to be super energy efficient. It's all about making the physical space way more attractive to today's tenants. Now, the second strategy isn't about the building. It's about who's inside it. An owner might decide to replace a bunch of smaller, maybe less stable tenants with one single high-credit corporation. Just that one move can slash risk, stabilize the income stream, and dramatically increase the property's value. Okay, strategy number 3 is all about perception. By making all those physical and operational upgrades, an owner can actually change the building's official class. They can take a tired old Class C building and elevate it to a Class B. Now, here's the crucial part. It's no longer competing with other old buildings. It's now in the ring with newer, more desirable properties, and it can charge the rent to match. And now for the most dramatic strategy of them all, changing the building's entire purpose. This is called adaptive reuse. We see this all the time when an empty office building becomes desperately needed apartments, or a vacant big box store gets converted into a medical clinic. This is the ultimate real estate remix, and it's a direct response to these huge shifts in how we all live and work. Okay, so we know the strategies, but how does a project like this actually get off the ground? It's not as chaotic as it looks. It's actually a very carefully managed 4-phase game plan. The whole process really unfolds in 4 distinct phases. It all starts with a super deep analysis of the market and the building itself. From there, a detailed business plan gets created. Phase 3 is all about execution, getting the financing, managing the construction, and leasing the place up. And finally, the goal is stabilization, a fully leased building humming along at its new, much higher value. Now, this all sounds like a massive amount of work, money, and complexity. And it is, which brings us right to the financial heart of the matter. This is a high-risk, high-reward game. So, let's ask the big question. Why would anyone go through all the headaches of construction, financing, and leasing risk? Why not just buy a stable, kind of boring building? Well, the answer, as it always is in real estate, comes down to the potential return.
And that potential return is significant. Investors jumping into these types of value-add projects are often targeting an internal rate of return, or IRR, somewhere in the 15 to 25% range, and sometimes even higher. That's a return you're just not going to get from a fully leased, totally stable property.
The whole financial goal is to create a gap. The final stabilized value of the property has to be way higher than the total cost to buy it and fix it up. That space between what it cost and what it's worth now, that's what they call value creation. That's the profit.
But where does all this money come from? Well, it's typically a layered cake of financing called the capital stack. A bank provides the biggest piece, the senior loan. But the riskiest money, the part that gets paid back last but also has the highest potential return, that's the equity from investors. That's the real risk capital that drives the whole project forward.
Of course, with high reward comes high risk. These are the dragons the development team has to slay every single day. Construction can go over budget, the market can suddenly take a nosedive, finding tenants can take way longer than you planned. Any one of these can seriously mess with those target returns.
So, what does all this really mean for the cities we live in? This strategy isn't just about spreadsheets and finance. It's about actively shaping the future of our urban environments.
This quote really captures the entire mindset, doesn't it? Success requires creating value where others see only problems. At its core, repositioning is all about having the vision to see a thriving, valuable asset where a problem building stands today.
And that kind of vision is more important now than ever before. With remote work leaving office buildings with huge vacancies and e-commerce changing retail forever, repositioning is the key tool we have to adapt our existing buildings to our new reality. So the next time you walk past a construction site wrapped around an old building, you'll know it's not just a simple renovation. You'll know to ask yourself, what problem are they solving here? Which of these strategies are they using? And what kind of second act are you witnessing?